Hello, it's TV back here. We just finished up this evening. I was resting. Made my machete yesterday and I put an edge on it now. It's a pretty decent edge. I took the grinder and then the file to it, and I still got a little more file work to do on the knife that I made too. This knife I made, back several months back, but the PVC handle, I broke it when I was pounding on it with a sledgehammer, splitting wood. That was real smart, wasn't it? Of course, that was my fault for being so ignorant. You shouldn't pound on the plastic end. But I got my knife stuck, and I thought, well, I'll just tap it up a little, and that PVC can't handle the pounding. Wood might not neither. I wouldn't say wood will either. So there's a couple of ways you could make even a steel handle for them, but you would have to build maybe a guard here. See, that's the thing, I haven't got any knife guards yet. I need to get me some 01 bar steel or some kind of bar steel to put right here, and then you'd have a little knife guard of some kind, keep you from slipping your hand forward and cutting your hand. But see, I made these kind of knives in the bush. Now, when I was out in the woods, I didn't have this heavy of steel, but I did find some carbon steel sometimes that wasn't quite as heavy as this, off of different things, you find in the salvage yard or junk or whatever. You'll find some metal thrown away sometimes, just things that you wouldn't normally think of. Usually it's thinner metal than this, so is what I'm saying, that I found to use. And it worked all right. I didn't have a file in the woods, so I used sand rock to sharpen my edge, which, no, it's not as sharp as it would be if you had a grinding wheel or a grinder to run down it, or a file, or a sharpening stone to put an edge on it. But when you're in a hurry and you're desperate and need a weapon to use for skinning or survival, shall we say, whatever the reason you needed the blade for, you ain't got all day. You make it and you get it done in the bush. Now, it doesn't mean that it's top quality. No, it's just something to use out there. Now, these are pretty good quality because it's made out of carbon steel. Carbon steel is a hard steel made from lawnmower blades. Now, granted, they're not pretty knives like your stainless steel might be, but these work pretty good. You can skin with this, you can chop with this, you can defend yourself with this in a scenario of survival. I won't get into how it can be used as a weapon because, well, when I was younger, I was good with blades and guns both. Either one, I had practiced hour after hour, throwing knives to carving knives to all different kinds of knives. Now, I'm not going to get into why I had to be at that level of skill with a blade and all that stuff then, but there was a reason back then, but I won't get into it now because it doesn't matter. What we're talking about here is a knife that you could use in the bush, and it's best to make your knives or buy them from craftsmen that make good knives. If you don't want to do it, you can get people to make you a knife. Heck, I'll make you a knife. Depending on if it's this size, it's going to be around $50 plus the shipping, because this is a 6-inch blade and it's a lot of steel. When you go, steel's not cheap anymore. It ain't like I was lucky that I had this one. Of course, I had a lawnmower blade that wasn't no good that I could make this one out of, so it didn't cost me nothing for the blade this time. But steel is very expensive. You go to buy an 01 steel, nice looking steel and stuff like that, can run into some serious money. And you can see here along the edge, I got some burrs here now where I was beating on it with a sledgehammer. You should never do that, really. I was just demonstrating to show you that you could use it to split wood if you didn't have an axe. That was the purpose of that. Now, I don't suggest you go out there and use your knife like I did. I put mine to the test on purpose to see what it would handle. I wanted to know what I could do and what I couldn't do with it. Best to take a mallet. Whenever cutting meat, you could bust the bones with this knife, cut through bone. I guarantee you it will. You can sit there and chop on it, or you can take your mallet and pound on it with a big mallet. It doesn't have to be a big hammer to beat the backside of your knife up. like I did with that sledgehammer out there. You saw what I done to this. If you saw my other video, you did. You can see there's a rough edge along here, and it'll warp your knife a little bit. Now I didn't warp it all that bad, but if I have flattened the top of that out too much, so now I'll have to take the grinder and smooth that up later. I just now noticed that on this knife. And what it is, it's the first knife that I made from my lawnmower blade. If I can let me get my knife out. Jesus Christ. I made another one since then. Yep, this is PVC too. I still haven't drilled my holes and put nothing in here. I may not, because this is PVC. If it breaks, easier to knock it off there, because PVC is easily broke. That's what I've discovered about it. It turns water good, folks. It will do that, and it won't never rot. And I painted it with camouflage paint. It's kind of a brown looking paint. Wasn't the kind of camouflage I thought I was buying. I wound up with a brown. Now it's a good paint, good for some things, for painting PVC with, as you can see, but it may scratch off. I'm not going to say it won't. It's not supposed to, but it probably will. I don't know. I'm not going to scratch it right now to find out. No, I scratched it. Yeah, it will come off, folks. I sanded it, and it's still yet. The paint won't stay on these PVC handles. Not that good. You can get gray in this, or white. Gray, if you're going to be doing a lot of rough stuff with it, working with a knife like this, I'd say get a gray handle. The gray handle is another PVC Schedule 40, but it's in gray that you can get. That is good. But like I say, I've got to build another handle for this one, and I've got a wooden handle in there that I made, but it's too small for this one, so I gotta cut another. Now, to show you my machete, let me turn on a light here on the camera, because it's kind of dark in here, and I know I've got a light if I can find it. Just a second.